the beautiful quarry of Doinker. We are here for the third leg of the Pro Series, the Doinker Welsh Masters, and we've got all the archers assembling, ready to go out. We've got the favorites present, ready to hit the challenging course. Jesse is here for the first time. We've got Rod Manser, Slavko, who's been in form for the past weeks. So it's going to be curious what will happen with the gents. And also the ladies. Ivana's here, Camilla's here, Anne is here. So let's have a great day.
Well, good morning. This is us with our first pictures from the Danny Darren Quarry. As you can see, it's quite pleasant at the moment. You may get to see all kinds of weather today and over the next 2 days.
Sun streaming in, I guess.
Yes. And that's Chris White.
It's an absolutely beautiful shot up the valley towards Brecon. And that is just in the top right-hand corner. That's a reservoir. Feeds most of the South Wales and a lot of the Midlands too.
The reason that Anne Lante doesn't take a hand from Chris is she shot with him in Germany and reckons that nobody can fall down more hills than Chris, so she probably feels she's better off on her own. So, Anne Lante in the foreground.
Just as well that Anne's actually standing on a higher perch.
Yes. You may wonder why it always looks like Chris is looking out in totally the wrong direction. His rangefinder that he uses is a Surveyor's, and a little bit ungainly to use, but arguably one of the most accurate. And he'll just double check it with one that actually has the cuts.
Yeah, not a particularly challenging target. This
Pretty though.
It's very, very pretty. 30 yards, four face.
On the side of a hill. Some
on
grass.
the side of the hill. It's an awful lot of overshoot there, so
Yes.
don't imagine that the arrow's going to go all the way down to the road, because it won't.
And there's not too many trees on what we're doing, but you can see that there are actually some in the locale. So
Well, they do grow trees in
yes,
Wales.
just not on this bit of ground.
No, well, there's not a lot of soil either on this bit of ground.
You'll see, I mean, obviously, you'll see over the weekend more of the actual quarry sort of amphitheatre itself, but they are working round the side of the hill with almost like the quarry in the middle. We haven't used, we haven't put it purely on in the quarry, although it's big enough to do that. It would be a little harsh, even for these guys.
Tedious walking up and down the slopes.
That's decent X to start with. As you say, nothing too tricky about this. It's more the fact that it gives you quite a good idea of what this place is like. So, Chris, just back from
I don't think there's anything, probably this morning, because we've got virtually, I'm looking out the door of the studio at the moment, we've got virtually no wind out there today at all, which is
novel.
No, it's not quite as novel as that.
You are a bit rose-tinted spectacles about this place. It's windy. How high up are we?
It's only about 400 meters.
Yeah, that's high enough. Another decent 5. It's not as, if there was an English word, unsheltered as people think it is, but it is never going to be calm, no matter what the man sitting next to me, just because he owns it, he seems to think that it's, kind of like Saint-Tropez. It is always going to be tricky.
I have got sunburnt here.
No, you got windburn.
Yeah.
Windburn and the limited weak sun bouncing off the rocks. So.
But we shall see.
Yes.
They're making this look fairly easy.
As easy as they should, actually. We will show you over the next 2 days some incredibly tricky targets, but also just wanted to give an idea. All of the emphasis has been on the quarry. You can see that, it's pretty steep, stepped up. You can see the target behind them. The quarry is kind of in over the top of there.
Yes. What they're actually standing on is an ancient lime kiln.
I thought you were going to say mud, but yes.
No, it is an ancient lime kiln, and this dates back to the mid-1800s.
Well, if it'll take Chris's weight, then it's obviously quite solid.
And the reason we know that is because some of the local historians gave us the information that when they were setting up the original OS maps, some of these items weren't actually appearing on the original ones, but when they got the one that they put into print by 1880,
That's 20
they,
grand.
they had appeared.
I was very scared that you were going to say you found a dead body in it and could basically date it from that.
Well, we haven't uncovered it, so there might be a dead body in there.
I feel the need to be politically correct, but we are in the wilds of the country.
As time goes on, I'll give you a few grisly facts.
Excellent.
So stay tuned if you like horror stories.
Well, as a segue, this target isn't going to be a horror story for any of these guys. That's a decent picture. Still suiting that Supra with the Omen cams. Just back from the Europeans, not the best Europeans he's ever had, which was disappointing for him on a multitude of levels, because he actually feels like he's shooting quite well. He's got a little bit of eye issues. I think age is catching up on him, but he is struggling this summer. There you can see him just blinking and waggling his face around. He's struggling a little bit with double vision at times. It catches up with all of us.
Double vision out of one eye or double vision out of both eyes?
They're out of one eye, but he is getting it looked into. But it's a little disquieting and it doesn't help when you're shooting on a foreface. So Anne's just standing next to him, not really out of politeness, more out of the fact that she doesn't want to fall off this thing.
No, she's got no other way to go. She needs to get past Chris to actually get down.
And as my mother would have said, he's a better door than a window. So, I'm sure he'll put this in the spot.
Full of little gems, isn't she?
She's from the north of England.
Yeah.
'Tis what it is.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Now, I'd go... you're a brave woman to go ahead of him, because if he falls down on you... Right, now then, this is a little trickier. Alexander Rosbander. Pops that in low.
That they're going up. It's
30 degrees, pretty much around that. 60 yards.
60 yards.
Big face. That should make it easy. It doesn't. At the end of this shot, I don't know if we'll see on the because it would be difficult to film. You kind of shoot the last maybe 10 yards is up a channel, which is slightly odd when you first draw and look through it. Next to him, Herbert just self-shading. Probably best to self-shade. That's the middle. It's a very German group, this.
So just to keep the theme running, this is right down by the lower and probably the more modern lime kiln. It is the site of a historic lime kiln, but this was running up to the late 1970s. So it's we've got a collection of very old photographs which give us quite a good timeline as to when things were actually happening.
That's out high. This will be a difficult target. I mean, it is a difficult target, but it's a difficult target if you can't get there with your second shot. Then that's there. Not the best shot he's ever going to shoot with a PSE, but it's there. If you do, the greatest fear on this sort of shot with the length and the slope is, you put one low, then you put one high, then you can't really can't really decide what to do. If you've got decent sight tape, you run with what the kit says. That's a decent picture.
When you look at the angle that he's shooting and then think that's going up 60 yards, that's a cracking shot.
I mean, the camera angle makes those arrows look as though they're going in flat. They're still going in at an angle of, 25 degrees, something like that, which, I mean, even with that length to travel.
Yeah, 60 yards. You're starting to get to a sort of flattening off a little bit, haven't you?
Yes. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's life in the system yet. As I say, there won't be a lot of English being spoken in this group. It's 4 Germans. Now, I'll make this a decent shot. That is a good picture. I mean, once the rain and the mist and the whatever come down, we may not give you pictures this good, so enjoy them while you've got them.
Forecast is quite good up until
for
tomorrow
here.
lunchtime. Oh, come on.
If I was on holiday, I wouldn't, be going, wow.
Depends what you're doing. If you don't expect to lay
Couldn't
on
even
the
go
beach.
sailing in this
You
normally.
could go walking. This is walking
Oof,
country.
that's a bit
Brecon
wild.
Beacons.
Fell off that. I wonder if they can just pan up to give you an idea. There you go.
Oh,
It's
almost to order.
yes, and it crosses across like sort of two
Yeah,
steps.
It's actually it's part of the shale's chute. So the shale from the
Oof,
rock.
that's
when
wild.
They were breaking up the rock. It was just channeled down the hill.
I thought you were making some reference to a world champion recurve shooter with
No,
shales shoot.
Nothing like that.
Right, just short, little Bouden. I shouldn't call him that, but he had a all right time in Germany. Germany was an eye opener for him. Leah as well, actually. Leah, he's very young and couldn't really get his head around how hard work it is at Leah.
Yeah, but
he shot well.
He's just about keeping touch with the top group of people.
Yeah, and there'll be years left in him. I can't even remember when I was his age. Next to him, Tobias Heeg. Again, not really going to see too much of a struggle for these guys on this target.
No, there's
In the Pro Comp Elite Domagoj.
if they pan back a little bit, you'll be able to see one of the other targets on this slope, which is another four-face.
No, it only works when I say it that they move the cameras.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll have to send a memo out, get one of my men on the job.
That's better. Just a little bit on the right side for Tobias, and he needs to do something about that so he doesn't drift one out at some point.
There is a little bit of a, well, as you can see, a little
Bit
bit
of
of
slope.
a cross slope there.
Yes.
And
Not in the direction he's shooting
no,
it.
but the ground just drops away dramatically to the left.
Yes, because it's on a mountain in Wales.
Well,
It's not like there's any flat bits. We're putting up a gazebo, and it fits where it touches. There you go.
There you
see?
go. You can see the target up the top there.
Small mothers meeting in the background near a
Yeah.
target.
They only sent one guy all the way up to the top to collect the arrows,
Yes.
and we put in some steps specially for them so they could all walk up there.
It is a. I mean, joking aside, this sort of whatever kind of rock it is gets
Limestone.
whatever. It gets pretty slippy in the wet. It's careful stuff.
So I'll show you a bit of rock later on that we've got.
That'll be
that's got
interesting.
fossils in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah,
even have television in this
no,
part
this
of the.
Exciting stuff.
Yes.
But
Reminds me of school trips.
when you think that this is 400 meters above sea level,
Yes.
and this was originally under sea.
I've got
just mind-boggling, isn't it?
Yes. You are like a sort of. It's like somebody who's rather proud of their house. Now then, back to the.
I haven't started yet. There's loads of facts to come out.
So you can see
So
just
stay
where that
around if you want.
camera is the bottom of the channel, and that's not too bad. It sort of narrows you in to that target. I mean, I would love this to be a feet of field target. It would be nigh on impossible for anybody apart from the very best to judge the distance, because you've got no run of land. You'd have to have a good cheat system and utterly believe it if it was a feet of field target.
Absolutely.
You haven't got it could be anything from, you could be 20 metres out, just literally looking at it, trying to work it out. It's a little bit easier for these guys with the kit that they've got, the rangefinders. But you then have to believe the rangefinder. If you've done the work and you've shot you've used the kit and shot with it before, you have to trust it.
Yeah, and not all of the cut charts are quite as accurate as they should be.
The cut shots, I mean, excellent programs like Archer's Advantage and some of the others, they sometimes come up with, the computer says no, with respect to angles and distances on these courses. You can just see Rainer Schmidt working his way up to it as Axel Roth goes to full draw next to him. That's poor. There's no way around that. That's a low 4, but he got that wrong.
I'm
We
quite
were standing
pleased to see that
talking-
they aren't cleaning this.
No, you're not going to see too many clean it. We were standing talking about this target yesterday Reiner and I, and he was looking down at it. Didn't have a target face on it because it's quite up near to the road they walked back on, and he couldn't resist taking a picture of it on his iPhone. I don't think it's turned out well for him on the first shot. But no, the cut charts, like you were saying, they don't really carry through to this. I know that Chris White. Now here's a boring geekish fact, but Chris can be a bit boring and geekish about field archery. He has every cut that he has ever shot on a Pro Series event written down on a piece of paper that he carries around with him.
Wow.
And he updates the piece of paper when it gets wet.
I didn't think people like him actually used pieces
Oh,
of paper.
it's
They-
pure
they-
maths.
They put them down on their
No.
iPhone.
He can't use a computer.
Okay.
Now then, scoreboard's not going to mean too much until we get a little further through. I know Jens Anbach, who's got a 20, shot on what I think is one of the most difficult targets on this course across the quarry, so that's a hell of a start. Anlante, Camilla Somo, the names will move around and we expect to see our normal crew by the end.